We've been duped, tricked.
So this is teaching for women. So everything in your video that you said is not biblical at all. So I wanted to go over the gospel with you. So you need to read Romans 13. The reason why the whole world is so evil is because they do worship the false Messiah, Jesus Christ, that the churches have created. There is 46,000 different versions of the false Messiah. They don't read their Bibles, and they don't keep the commandments of God. And this is why this has happened. The true Messiah of the Bible came in his Father's name. He tells you this in John chapter 5, verse 43. I came in my Father's name and you didn't receive me, but there's going to be one that comes in his own name that you'll receive. The whole world has received the false Messiah, the lawless one, the man of perdition that sits in the throne, blaspheming God, calling himself God, teaching Baal worship, Jeremiah 10, Jeremiah 7, Christmas and Easter, honoring Queen of Heaven Ishtar and Tammuz, the sun god, worshiping on Sun God Day, doing commandments of men over commandments of Jehovah, blaspheming God daily. Romans 13. God appoints their governments over people to punish them when they turn away from the truth, turn away from Jehovah. It's a reflection on the people. The Messiah of the Bible, he tells you in John 5, Yeshua is his name. Search the scriptures, for in them you'll find your salvation. Was what was testified of him. Your eternal salvation is what was testified of him. He tells you in verse 46 and 47, if you don't believe what Moses wrote of him, you're not going to believe what he tells you. Moses wrote in Deuteronomy 18 that Jehovah would rise up a prophet from amongst them of thy brethren. He would put his words in that prophet's mouth. He would give them everything desired at Horeb, the life-giving water, the 10 Commandments. And whoever didn't listen to that prophet and what he commanded, he was going to require it of the people. Yeshua did that in Matthew 22, verse 37 through 40, where all the law and prophets hang on those 2 commandments, to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. He quoted verbatim Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. Jehovah's 5th commandment, to honor your father and your mother. The 1st commandment with promise in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 3. Deuteronomy chapter 6 tells you to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, to keep the 10 commandments in your heart, to teach them to your children. It will be your righteousness. The whole world has nailed his righteousness to the cross, along with the handwriting of ordinances Moses wrote in a book as a witness against the people until it was finished. Deuteronomy 31, the sacrificial law, the law of sin and death, the law that you shouldn't live by. Not his holy covenants. The handwritings of ordinances Moses wrote with his hand in a book was the only thing nailed to the stake. The Bible tells you the churches will go apostate. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, there'll be a falling away first, which means apostasy. They will not endure sound doctrine in the end. They'll have itching ears to gather around themselves people, telling them, do not preach to me hard things, preach to me smooth things, preach to me deceits. They've turned the grace of God into lasciviousness, Jude chapter 1, verse 4. Unbridled lust, wantonness, shamelessness, the doctrine that you can come before the Lord shameless in your sin because you have undeserved favor. Grace of God in Titus 2, G5485, especially divine influence upon the heart and the reflection in life. It teaches you in Titus 2 to deny sin and lust of this world. What is sin? It's Yeshua's first and second commandments. His first commandment is to keep the 10 commandments. His second commandment, he quoted Leviticus 19:15 through 18, to love your neighbor as thyself, is to do righteous judgment, judge only by the 10 commandments, not self-righteous judgments, but righteous judgment, judge by the 10 commandments, Jehovah's righteousness. Rebuke your neighbor so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. It's not this accept all, love all. For this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. 1 John chapter 5. That's the love of God. Agape. The love of God is to keep his commandments. This is how we love the children of God in 1 John chapter 5, is to keep his commandments. And this is how we know him. 1 John chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. That's how we know him, when we keep his commandments. And those that say they know him and keep not his commandments are liars. And the truth, the spirit of truth, which is a spirit, it is the Holy Ghost in John 14, is not in them. Yeshua himself in John 14 tells you how to believe on him. The works that he does, those that believe on him, the works that he does, they will do also. He kept his Father's commandments. He taught his Father's commandments. He ate clean. He kept the covenants of promise in Ephesians 2. He rebuked with all long suffering and authority. He spoke with salt. He rebuked the Pharisees for doing commandments of men, Mark 7, Matthew 15, over commandments of Jehovah. Called them whitewashed tombs. They sure look pretty on the outside, but filthy on the inside, because what you speak comes from your heart, and you're supposed to write the commandments on your hearts. Deuteronomy chapter 6. They didn't do righteous judgment. They did commandments of men, and they rebuked the disciples for commandments of men, unwashed hands. They flatter him with their mouth, but their heart is far from him. Yeshua says in John chapter 5, I know you don't have the love of God in you. For this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. And by your words you are condemned. Those that forsake the holy covenants, that are covetous and go after their own hearts, he gives them up to their own reprobate minds, Romans 1. He puts them under a strong delusion, gives them over to the lawless one in 2 Thessalonians 2. Because they turn their ear away from the truth, from hearing the truth, his law. Because they want to worship God the way they want to worship God. Doing Jeremiah 10, Jeremiah 7, Christmas and Easter, the sin unto death, idolatry, and 1 John chapter 5, end of chapter. Little children, keep yourself from idolatry that makes you deaf, dumb, and blind. Psalms 115, 135. So you can see, not hear, not walk in the ways of the Lord, because you could become like them. The whole reason why the northern kingdom was scattered to the four corners of the world and divorced by Jehovah, Deuteronomy 4 and 5, is what Yeshua was prophesied to refresh at Horeb, the Ten Commandments.